So good morning, it's the morning of February 8th, and we have a Nintendo Direct coming out this afternoon, 2 o'clock Pacific time, all the way to 5 o'clock Eastern time, and wherever you may fall between those times in the middle. I'm Mark, doing the Game Junction news today by myself, just because of scheduling conflicts. Me and Brandon couldn't do it at the same time today. It's going to be a little bit on the shorter side, more than likely, but we're going over the information with the Direct. If you haven't already heard, I'm sure most of you already have. We've also posted a lot of it on our socials and do some of the predictions and give you some, at least my thoughts on some predictions of what we could potentially expect. So obviously, the Nintendo Direct is today, February 8th. So Nintendo has announced that it will be hosting February's Direct Showcase tomorrow, today, February 8th, 2 o'clock Pacific time, 5 o'clock Eastern. 10 p.m. GMT, if any of you watching this happen to fall in that time frame. Putting weeks of rumors to bed. We've been waiting for this since the beginning of the year. It has just taken this long for us to finally get this, so definitely excited for it. The Direct will be broadcast on YouTube and is set to last for approximately 40 minutes. The presentation is set mainly to cover games that are releasing the first half of 2023. So with this in mind, it can kind of taper our expectations a little bit of what we can expect. With them specifically coming out the first half of 2023, we can expect to hear a lot of what we already know about. With the more than likely the Advance Wars 1 and 2 reboot camp coming out fairly soon, as well as, hopefully more information on Tears of the Kingdom, which comes out in a few months, and some other stuff they have planned, but probably not expecting to hear anything long term clearly from this. It's just first half of 2023, so no big surprises with next gen information or anything like that. We are just expecting games out of this. So as for the showcase, will actively contain, we have to wait and see. The biggie we're all expecting more details on is obviously The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, as we draw ever closer to its 12th May release date. But there is a whole lot more that we might catch a glimpse of. This includes the likes of Advanced Wars 1+2 Reboot Camp, Pikmin 4, and dare we say it, maybe even Metroid Prime 4, or the potential for the Prime trilogy that everyone would love to see. Come on, we need to hear about this at some point. I know I am desperately hoping to hear more about it. So obviously we're expecting to hear more about Tears of the Kingdom, expecting Advanced Wars 1 and 2, and more than likely the new Pikmin game, Pikmin 4. And then everything else, we're obviously going to hear more games. It's a matter of where we get another surprise, somewhat high-profile release, or a more low-profile, some random games that are just coming around. Because obviously you don't want too many games competing, two major Nintendo first-party games competing with each other around Tears of the Kingdom and stuff like that. So we could taper it, but I mean, we're probably looking through July more than likely with the first half of 2023 with where we're at right now. Would be a good guess. And then around the E3 period, I know there was rumors of Nintendo not being there. We could still expect another Direct to drop around that time. So to probably finish off the back half of the year into the holiday season, maybe beyond. Who knows? It's hard to tell with Nintendo with what they're going to do. But the first big one, I'm pulling some of this other information about some predictions. Some of these topics are also coming from the Nintendo Life as well. They're talking more about information about Tears of the Kingdom. Obviously, there's not a whole lot more that we can really say, except that we're expecting more information, which would be fantastic to hear. Maybe some more gameplay, maybe a little bit more we can expect from the story. But I know I'm somewhat conflicted on that, because I'd like to see some more gameplay, but I'm also on the side, I don't want to hear any more about the story. I'd like to go in as blind as I can and just be surprised with the story we get. I know this might be a controversial topic with some people. I hope it's still semi-open world, but I personally thought Breath of the Wild lacked in some areas for stories, so hopefully there's more of a story with this. Even if the game is somewhat more linear in some areas, I think that would help the game overall to have a somewhat linear storytelling in an open world environment. But that's just me personally. You all might disagree or have different opinions on that. Love to hear your views on that as well. So we're potentially might be expecting to hear something or a release window for Pikmin 4. Obviously, we could hear nothing at all about this. It could be as late as a holiday 2023 release. It's just another game that we've, kind of expecting to come out later this year. So we may, whether they're going to tell us at all, but if we're expecting it to come out holiday and they're only talking about games coming out the first half of this year, we might not hear anything at all about it. So that's just, some stuff that's up in the air. Also, some other topics we could hear about is more about the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet DLC potentially. Obviously, it's been a few months since the game came out. It'd be nice to have some more, patches just to make the game more playable. Personally, it's really rough around the edges for a Pokemon game. But the potential, within 6 months of this game coming out, 4 months to get a first look at some DLC is the potential. Obviously, this is just kind of like we don't know what's going on. We're kind of mimicking some of our expectations off of with Sword and Shield. But we're expecting DLC obviously to come for this game. It's just a matter of the likelihood to hear it. I think it's there, but it wouldn't surprise me if we didn't hear anything at all about the DLC. But it would make the most sense to, you don't want to lose people already, but getting DLC on the back end a few months after to keep the hype up for the game would make sense. Obviously, the next big one that we're waiting to see is will we get any information about Metroid Prime 4? Obviously, it's been a few years since they restarted development with Retro Studios, who originally did the first 3 Prime games. We've been hearing rumors about Metroid Prime 4 for a while now. None of them have ever come true. It's very possible we might not hear anything at all about a Metroid Prime game, as much as I myself would be disappointed to hear. Obviously, we're on the heels of Metroid Prime Dread. Not really expecting any DLC with that game. And then there's always the rumors of, are we even getting, because we know we're getting Prime 4, but are we getting any kind of Prime Trilogy remake, remaster, re-release, any kind of version of that game on the Switch? Since a lot of those games are kind of stuck on the Wii U with the latest. 2 of these are GameCube games. 1 was a Wii era game. So a lot of people might not even play these games. So you'd think it would make sense to release it, within a year of Prime 4 coming out. Plus, it would help build some hype train. But, we're kind of just up in the air, just kind of hoping for the best at this point. It's been a few years now since we had Mario Odyssey come out. So is there the potential for them to at least tease another 2D or 3D Mario game? It's up in the air. This is one of those things, like, we don't really know a whole lot. We got to get some DLC for Mario Party, some Mario Strikers stuff. I think the likelihood of getting some kind of Mario DLC or content's high. It's just whether or not it's another big release. Personally, I don't think we're going to hear any major big, like, Odyssey type style because, it'd be too close with the first half of the year. With the Zelda game, it would make more sense to, as you enter the fall into the holiday season, if we're going to get a big Mario title. But we've had other smaller games out there that we might get a release or some DLC. The potential there is possible. As another talking point is, will we get any other ports of, maybe Yoshi's Woolly World, another Metroid Prime? We kind of already talked about that in another section. Maybe another Zelda port from either, Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, or any of these other games coming to the system in some way or form, which would be nice. I think the likelihood of us getting some kind of port is there. It's just a matter of how high profile of a port are we going to get, or is it going to be more low profile? Nobody knows really what we're kind of getting there. We're just going to have to wait and see. I was reading through some of their Nintendo Hype's, their prediction article they put up, talking about some third-party showcases, any demos. I know they were talking about Octopath Traveler 2, another Dreamland remix. I think there's a chance to have a third-party game. It's obviously very high because it's Nintendo. It's just a matter of, how high profile is it going to be more on the indie side? But I think just a third-party game in general we can probably expect from this. It's just a matter of how many games are we really going to get with this announcement. And the final articles that I was kind of reading on Nintendo Life as well was they were talking about, the chance for like a wild card. Are we getting new Switch Online support for maybe a Game Boy or Game Boy Advance? While that's very doable, I myself wouldn't really expect that to be a nice surprise, but with everything they're doing with kind of like the N64 right now, we've been hearing rumors for a while. I'll kind of believe it when I see it, as well as they talk about, would the Nintendo dare talk about a Switch successor? I wouldn't expect it right now. I think we're still at least a year away, personally. That's just kind of a gut feeling from me. I've got no data backing me up on this, obviously. But it just doesn't make sense. I feel like if we were going to get a Switch successor, we would have heard something official by now. Because, you'd start to see promo, especially if it's going to come in the first 2 quarters of the year. You would have heard something rumbling behind the scenes back now. I wouldn't expect it, but, you never know. Nintendo could throw us a wild card. And then there's always the big question is, what would a Switch successor even look like? And that's a whole topic you could delve into for an hour on what you would even want out of a Switch successor. Should they even really change that much other than give the Switch some more hardware upgrades, do something with the dock to beef up your console's hardware a little bit more. I mean, who knows at this point, but it's always a fun thing to kind of speculate about. So, hey, let us know what you thought about before. You have your own predictions. You're expecting something. You disagree with some of the stuff I talked about. Or you're coming up here after the fact and you're like, this was right, this was wrong, you're terrible. This is a terrible article. Just, I don't know. Let us know. We'd appreciate it. Let us know down below. Just be respectful to everybody in the comment section. Give us a like, give us a sub, and we'll see y'all next time. Peace out.